Alright guys, today I have a 6S no backlight. Pretty common if you're not disconnecting the battery before trying to change the screen, which I believe this customer tried to do it themselves and of course didn't disconnect it. So you can pretty much see here where the filter is. It's actually looks, yeah, oh my god, yeah. You can tell right away because the underfill around it, this type of gummy stuff, is actually melted away around it. See if I can pick some of this crap away from it. So far, pretty much what I've noticed is, look at the filter is just coming right up, just fell right out of there, or what used to be a filter. But so far, what I've noticed is that if the filters test okay or look okay, don't look damaged, the rest of the circuit's going to be destroyed. Um, if the filter's blown, usually the rest of the circuit's okay. And usually it's, you can see this crater here where it looks like it exploded. We can get some more light in there. The filter's blown, the rest of the circuit's usually okay, but we will have to jump it over to one of the test points as the pad is most likely destroyed. So I'm going to start just heating it up a little bit, get rid of some of that little bit of underfill that's around there. So this one kind of looks alright. Like we might actually be able to put a filter back there. Okay. Well, that looks almost like it would be alright, but the pad on the right, it feels like it's created some new type of alloy, like whenever it exploded. So we're not even going to use that spot. We're going to go ahead and show you the trick of just jumping it. But I did just realize that I don't have any new filters. So let's see if I have some scrap board that I could steal it from, basically. Which I might not even have. So let's just go ahead and see if we can find something that'll work. FL 4211. Actually, this might. Yeah, this donor board is crap and doesn't have filters. FL 4211. So we have 240 ohm, 350 milliamp. Okay, so all these filters right here are the same. So we'll go back to this donor board, and we're going to find FL 4208. FL 4208. Okay. What is coming out of adjustment? Do I zoom in and out too much or what? Okay. So now we have a filter to use, but I'm not 100% sure that it's going to stick to this pad. And that pad, look, it's already just moving around like it's just going to fall off. Which I just pulled it off, so we're going to forget about that. And we're going to see where else we can put this filter in line, since we don't want to get rid of it. Jumping straight to the connector with no filter is not going to be a good idea. If this issue ever happened again, or customer tried to replace the screen again and pull the battery, it's going to take out the whole circuit most likely. So we know that on this connector side of the filter, there's a test point right here that we're going to go to. And for the other side, which is actually the pad I just ripped off, we're going to have to go from, let's say, this cap and run a wire up to this test point. So what I'm going to do is just add a little flux. Add a little bit of solder. And we're actually going to take this filter and just solder it to this test point. That's good. Feels sturdy. Not going to go anywhere. So the next step would be to remove the shield. So yeah, here's the rest of the circuit. Usually if this part of the circuit was bad, you'll see solder balls poking out everywhere from under the IC. Usually both of these diodes are blown. Everything in this area will pretty much just look destroyed. Go back to see, we're going to go on this bottom side of this big cap. And we know that this side of this cap down here is ground, so we don't want to have our wires soldered to ground. So we'll just be careful not to solder it to that. This wire that I have here is insulated, so you do got to heat it up, get a little bit of that insulation just burnt off of it. You have a good piece of the wire to actually solder to. Alright, now that looks good. Okay. Now, before we actually run it all the way over there, I'm going to go ahead and just put the shield back on. Make sure we have a little space for it to run right through the shield. Just like so. I don't know if you'll really be able to see. But we're just going to heat this up. It doesn't really seem straight. One thing you definitely don't want to do is pinch that wire that you just ran. You want to make sure it's free, it's not getting pinched by anything. And just tack this back on. seem to be one to sit very nice for some reason, of course, while I'm trying to make a video. So I'm just gonna add a little extra solder to it just to make sure it gets a good bond. Alright. So now that I have that in place, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of wrap it around. Here. And get it ran over there to our filter. So yeah, I'd say that gives us plenty of room. Snip it off. Probably you can take just a little bit more off. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Just try to get a little bit of this coating, kind of melt it off a bit. Make sure I got a nice little bead of solder on there. Not going anywhere. I bent it like this and made it come up sideways so I had a little more surface area of the actual wire to solder versus just running straight to it at a point and not creating like a very good bond. So just want to make sure you have enough room. Run that all the way over there. Alright, we can go ahead and give it a little test. So, power supply. You got it set at 4 volts, 2 amps. screen right here. And then to jump over here to the power button connector and find the button hold key, which is power button. So it's going to be the second pin. Could always just hook a charging port up or a power button or put it in a bezel, but this is just how I usually do it. So I'll go over here with the second pin. I know that the end is ground. That should prompt it to boot up. And we do have a backlight. There you go. So that's just a pretty common failure with the 6S, especially if you're not disconnecting the battery. Make sure to disconnect the battery before you attempt a screen repair. Alright, thanks for watching.